Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my makeup and we're going to chat. I want to stop sitting on camera filming and throwing away my footage because it's not good enough, or I'm worried about what I'm going to say, or I'm worried about getting judged. I have to stop because if I allow myself to continue in this, it will get catastrophic like it has been the last week, which we're going to talk about in this video. If you guys saw my live stream, some of this may be repeat. I'm not going to go as nearly as in depth or as like raw, if you will, as I did in my live stream. But if you are looking to kind of know more of what I'm talking about, or if you're like wanting more context, I'm gonna link my live stream up here. It's like 3 hours long, so for those of you that are like, I can watch 3 hours of video, well, there you go. I'm here in my robe with my hair up. I never wear my hair up. That is because I'm self-conscious of this area of my body, but I have to stop allowing the negativity that sits in my mind to control my everyday life. And for that, I am saying, I want my hair up out of here. And that is where we are gonna go, no matter how self-conscious it makes me feel. I'm also wearing a robe, and I just got this in the mail. This is not sponsored, by the way. I am partnering up with Savage X Fenty a whole bunch in the next few months, but I just wanna say, this is the first robe I've ever gotten in my life. It has like, do you see this? The sleeves are like a hoodie, but it's a robe, bruh. Not having those big floppy sleeves is like life-changing. Like, how come all robes aren't like this? It's so much better. All right, so I'm just gonna do my makeup. I have not worn makeup in probably 2 weeks. So I'm just gonna talk about what's been going on and like what I'm going through in this moment. This is gonna be discussing a lot of mental health. It's gonna be discussing like really negative thoughts and negative self-talk. It's also gonna be talking about, health issues and stuff like that. So just to forewarn you, that's what I'm gonna be talking about in this video. If you are uncomfortable with that, this may not be the one for you. You may wanna skip it and, come into the next one where it's all lighthearted and about makeup. I'm feeling better now where I feel like I can actually sit down and film. I have filmed 3 times in the last week wanting to just open up, and every video that I have made will never see the light of day because I kind of filmed them in the midst of the worst of how I was feeling, and last week really feels like a lot of a blur to me. But I'm just gonna give like a little bit of context to what I'm talking about if you don't know. So basically, I have a health condition. You guys know about this. I'm not gonna get into it. TAC, cluster headaches. I'm not going to get into what it is, and I really don't want medical advice. Every time I talk about it, there will inevitably be somebody in the comments that is like, but have you tried this? I know you probably haven't. And it's like, please, I am seeing a neurologist. I see my doctor. I know all of the things you're saying. If you think I haven't heard of it, I have heard of it. So please, no health stuff in the comments if possible. I understand it's coming from a good place, and this isn't me being like, leave me alone. It's not like that. I know it's coming from a good place. I know people just want to help, but I promise you, I've heard of it. I've either researched it, I've either talked to my doctor about it, or I've tried it. And I just want to preface this by saying that. Now, moving on, I had a really, really bad health week. Like, it's been one of the worst ones I've had ever. It was unrelenting. I have had at least 7 straight days of agony. And it's just really hard because when you feel good, it's hard to relate to any of this stuff. If you don't deal with chronic pain, you just can't relate. You can't, and it's not your fault. You just don't understand what it's like. And that's not your fault, and it's not anything to be upset about or judged. People want to get mad at people who just don't understand, but it's like, I explained this in my live stream this way. It's like trying to describe sex to somebody who's never experienced it. You can try all you want, but it's just one of those things where it's like describing pleasure or describing pain. They're descriptive words that can like get you there, but they're not like, I could be like, it's like an ice pick boring into my skull. You've never had an ice pick boring into your skull, so you don't know what that feels like. I guess neither have I, but that's the only descriptives I can use to convey how bad it really is. But it was 50 out of 10 pain. Just unbelievable. I can't even believe it. And my medicine stopped working. And now in the 8.5 years I've had this condition, my meds usually kick in. Sometimes they're not as effective, but this time, like, not effective at all. And I don't really know why that is, but apparently it can happen. I take triptans, so I take sumatriptan, and apparently that can happen after, prolonged use of a medication. And I only use it as needed. It's not like I use it every day, but if I have a cluster headache every day, I will. So I normally just take that at onset, and it wasn't doing anything. And that was making me absolutely panic, because when you have pain and you can get rid of it, you will do what it takes to get rid of it. But when what you use to get rid of it stops working, it's panic, because you're like, that's the only thing that I know that can help me. And then when you do it and it does not help you, it's like really, really scary. So that wasn't working anymore. And that's the first time in my life that it hasn't worked. And it freaked me out so bad because that meant 7 days of hideousness. That meant nothing was helping. It meant doubling my dosage on the medicine wasn't working. Nothing was helping. And because of that, I started to panic. And when I started to panic, I started getting really, really bad anxiety. And I really mostly have anxiety surrounding health-related issues. Now, I'm going to say what I said in the live stream one more time because I feel like it needs to be driven home. The word anxiety has gotten so convoluted over the years, I feel, because it's a descriptive that a lot of people use to just say when they're not feeling, like when they're feeling stressed or something. There's a huge difference between just like normal everyday stresses and debilitating anxiety. And I get it really badly. I have it every single day. I have anxiety every single day. And I don't talk about it. It's not something that I like really talk all the time about on my YouTube channel or anything because, again, so often the word has lost almost its meaning of what it really feels like. And so when you say I have anxiety, people take that to mean you're stressed. That's not even kinda what it feels like. Again, it's me trying to explain something that until you've been in here when that's going on at its full heightened state, you can't grasp it, and it's not your fault for not being able to understand. Because if you've never experienced true debilitating anxiety, you don't know what it feels like, and that's okay. Like you're lucky that that's the case. And that's totally fine. Like it's not your fault for not having experienced something bad. I wish there was any way to describe it other than what it actually feels like to me, and this is just my experience, is that you are dying. You're dying and the world is coming to an end. And in that moment when the world is actually imploding around you, nobody else can see it. And you're looking around and you're like, we gotta go. We gotta run. Like the world is coming to an actual end and you guys don't seem to care because they aren't experiencing it because it's in here. And the world isn't coming to an end, but to you it is. And it is so scary. I can't even begin to describe how frightening it is. It is the most scared I've ever been. I feel like I could think back to every time I've been so scared, every horror movie I've ever seen, every nightmare I've ever had. And it's a waking nightmare. You are in here feeling like the world is ending, but nobody else seems to notice that it's ending or care. The world goes on, yet it feels like you're in some twisted nightmare that you can't escape from, and you sound crazy when you talk about it. And that is such an isolating feeling because, again, so many people, if you've never experienced it, their first reaction, their gut instinct is to tell you, just relax, everything's fine. Because to them, it is fine. In their head, it is fine. Everything is absolutely fine. Because it actually is. What's happening in here, though, is not. And there's no way to describe it unless you've experienced it. The only way I can say is, there are a million different things I can tell you, but telling somebody to calm down in the midst of a panic attack or true debilitating anxiety is super unhelpful. It does nothing. I mean, you can try all day long to calm down, but it's like, okay, thank you. I haven't tried that. So it was bad. It got to the point where I was feeling such despair all day long. My health was so bad. And that's what really sent me into it, is that the majority of what will send me into that feeling of pure despair is my health. Because I do have these health conditions that I can't explain them. Nobody can understand unless you go through it. So very few people do go through this, that it is just debilitating. And then I started developing other health-related issues that scared the shit out of me. Long story short, I did go to the doctor yesterday. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But all of this just cascaded. So when you feel horrific every single day, you feel so ill, you're in so much pain, you can't do anything, your self-worth starts to diminish because you feel lazy, because you haven't been able to put up YouTube content, because you haven't been present on social media, your conversations with your friends are lacking. Whatever it may be in your mind, you start to really lean into that and believe it. And anxiety makes it worse because you're sitting there thinking like all these negative things about yourself that are really just coming from a place of fear, and I can't even describe it. I wish I could in a meaningful way. But because the anxiety is debilitating, you feel physical symptoms too. And not even just those physical symptoms, but those make you get more anxiety. And then that makes you less productive as a person. And then the lack of production makes you feel guilty. And the guilt makes you get more anxiety. And it just is like this cascading circle that I couldn't get out of. And on top of that, the pain that's causing me to be unproductive. I did not choose to have this condition. I did not do anything to cause it, and I cannot do anything to cure it. And that doesn't stop me from feeling like I'm doing something wrong, or that I could prevent this somehow if I did something, or I'm just not doing enough. And the answer is that's not true. It's not true. I didn't ask for this condition. I don't know why it came. I don't know why I have it. I don't know anything. All I know is that it hurts me, and I would do anything to get rid of it. And so this is what I've been doing for the last week. And it has been one of the longest weeks of my life, because when you're doing nothing but laying there in agony, it makes time crawl. But it also is weird because last week feels like this odd blur to me. I have been in the weirdest place, not just mentally, but physically. And I got to a point where I was like, I am breaking as a human. And my husband was sitting there with me. We were in the shower. I was sob crying inconsolably, like those silent cries where you're just like pit of despair, like I cannot do this. And he was like, I think it's time that you need to go back to your doctor and talk to them about further options. And absolutely. So I went to the doctor yesterday. They got me in same day, like thank God for this doctor, honestly, thank God. And the doctor was so nice. A lot of times you can go to the doctor, especially with dealing with a health condition like I have. I don't go to the doctor anymore when I feel this bad. I have the medications. I've tried all the preventatives. I've tried everything. I've tried oxygen. I've tried everything for 8 years. I know what the hospital is going to tell me if I go in agony. They do the same thing every time. I've been in the emergency room multiple times, and they do the same thing every time. And they treat me like a drug seeker. Now, I don't like being high. I don't like the feeling of being out of control. I don't like the feeling of being out of my mind. And so when people want, like, I've had doctors say to me, I've had a specific ER doctor. I went in there, I was having the worst cluster attack. Like, oh my God, this is before I had sumatriptan, which is like my medicine that can help my head. This was before that. And I hadn't fully been diagnosed with cluster headaches yet, but I had researched enough that I knew what they were. I went in the emergency room and I was like, help me. I was throwing up. It was involuntary. My body was just rejecting anything. I felt so much pain. My eye felt like it was popping out of my skull. I was gripping my face, and they would not help me because, and I quote from the ER doctor, "You know I'm not going to get you high, right?" I looked at him and I said, great, I don't want to get high. If you told me that drinking a gallon of water sitting here right now would get me pain-free, do it. And he was like, oh, you don't? And I'm like, no, I'm not here to get high. If you have something that can get the pain gone that doesn't get me high, that's preferable. Thank you, sir. And then they gave me a shot of Toradol, which did fuck all. It did nothing. But he literally looked me in the eyes from human to human and said, you know I'm not going to get you high, right? And that was when I realized there's not a lot of help for people out there like me. You can't see a headache. It's not a headache. It's not a headache. And I hate that word has ever been used to describe it. It's called cluster headache. It should not be called that. I call it cluster attack because it is an attack. It just feels like somebody is smacking you in the face with a baseball bat over and over and over and over and over again right behind your eye. They're bashing you behind your eye with it over and over again. And you can't see it. You can't test for it. You don't know if I'm telling you the truth or not, but you are there to help me, and please help me. And they could have given me a Triptan for fuck's sake, which is so weird if I'm complaining of a headache. Why have I gone in the emergency room multiple times and they've never given me a Triptan? They're always like, we're not going to give you narcotics. I'm like, I don't want narcotics. Narcotics don't help this pain. If I took an oxycodone right now, it doesn't touch this pain. You have to have like a Triptan sort of drug. Anyway, so that was always so confusing to me. So I don't go to the doctor when I'm in agony because it has never served me. I have the medicine that I know can stop it, but when it doesn't work, I'm like, oh my God, I really don't know what to do. So this is coming to a point. So I went to the doctor yesterday and I explained all of this to her, and oh man, she was so understanding. And we had discussed my head because I'm also dealing with other symptoms with my head, like some vision loss and severe brain fog to the point where it's like I cannot recall words that I know. And I'm dealing with like some scary other things with my head that just really freak me out. And I discussed them with her and she's ordering me an MRI. Now, I have had this condition for 8 years and nobody has ever agreed to give me an MRI. She suggested it and she completely concurred with me that it's stupid to be in this much pain and to not have seen inside my brain. And that rhymed. Watch out, Seuss. But she completely agreed. She was like, if it is something else, maybe there is something else causing it. Maybe not. Maybe you do just have cluster attack, but maybe there's something else. And we don't know that because nobody's ever tested you. My neurologist had suggested it, but was like, we don't need to go down that route. And I think it's like insurance, maybe, that they're not, like, the reasons that they're so hesitant to recommend that I get scanned. Like, there's no other purpose for me. Like, scan me, scan my whole body. I don't give a shit. Like, let's figure this out. And maybe there is no answer, but maybe there is. And because we've never checked it, we don't know. So I'm going in for an MRI, but also she prescribed me a new triptan. I've never taken it before. I've only ever taken sumatriptan, but she prescribed me rizatriptan, which is, or rizatriptan or whatever. It's like Maxalt. I've never tried this one before, so I'm excited to see if it's going to work. I hope and pray that it does. It is a one that I guess you dissolve it under your tongue. So I'm going to try that. Sumatriptan has always worked really well for me. I have very minimal side effects from it, and I like it. I like it quite a bit. And so I'm going to try this new one and see if that can help me. And I also got a referral to a therapist. We talked, and she was talking about my anxiety and just surrounding my health. And because I do have real health problems, when I feel anything happen, it's ultra scary for me because I have had so many diagnosed issues that it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. It's not like I'm a hypochondriac and am just worried for no reason. It's that so many of the times that I have worried have been confirmed by testing that I was right. And it's really, really frightening. And so I am going to go to therapy. I am on a new medication if needed, which I haven't had to take it yet because I've had 2 pain-free days, which has been really, really nice. And then I'm getting an MRI. So that has already made me feel just a bit of peace of mind, knowing that we're moving in the right direction. It's in the works. We're going to get moving along with it, and we're going to see what's going on. And if there is nothing more, fine, I will take that. But if there is something, I would just love to know. That would be really great. I'm going to start therapy, I guess. I have always kind of avoided it because my issues are on and off. They get better and then they get worse. And I honestly have realized, though, that I have a lot of things that have happened in my life that have never, they're pretty unresolved. This color is really red, but whatever. A lot of unresolved things where I've never actually talked to somebody about them, and that's not good. I need to talk to somebody and make sure that I'm, not causing myself more harm by not talking to a professional. I've had a lot of really horrible things happen that I tend to block out. And I think that coping mechanism that I've developed over the last few years, my teens and 20s, now into my 30s, is not doing me a service anymore. For a while there, blocking out all of the things that make me upset worked. I was able to just forget that they existed, and if somebody brought it up, make a joke about it and move along with it, And now I feel like I have to face it head on because there have got to be things that have rewired my brain into the way of thinking and the way that I do think. I catastrophize every situation. Everything that ever happens, good or bad, I have thought of every bad and good thing that could possibly ever happen in that scenario. And I think this is a way for me to try to protect myself from being let down, or, I don't know exactly what it could be. I'm not a therapist. But I think that it is a coping mechanism that my brain has developed in order to help me not be horrifyingly disappointed if something bad happens, or that it doesn't absolutely destroy me if something bad happens, because I had already considered all of those bad things as an option, And I think that that's probably what's happening in my brain. Who knows? I know I'm not a professional. I have been listening to a book on Audible, and it's been helpful, although the lady's narration is really... She sounds like a teacher, and when she is talking, it is so hard to listen. To me, it's just, it's hard, because she's giving really good information. By she, I mean she's just the one narrating the book. The information in the book is really good, and I feel like it's been actually helping me understand why I might be feeling this way. It's written by a couple of doctors, and it is really good in that regard, but in the same token, it's really hard to listen to because she's so...
Things are perfectly silent. You won't be able to see activation of the amygdala.
Listen.
There's no single right way to achieve the relaxation that reduces amygdala-based anxiety. You simply need to find which techniques work best for you.
Yes, I know. But the book is called Rewire Your Anxious Brain, and it says how to use the neuroscience of fear to end anxiety, panic, and worry. And it hasn't like gotten rid of any of that for me, of course, at all. But it has helped me understand that my brain is just trying to protect me. But in that protection, it's actually unknowingly harming me because it's making me panic and have severe anxiety surrounding things that I shouldn't. Like for example, I have never been in a plane crash. I have never had really even a bad experience on a plane that much. Like, it's always been pretty average. And I have had some turbulence, which scares me, but no reason to believe that the plane is going to crash or that I'm going to die or that something bad is going to happen. But that doesn't stop me from every time a trip comes up from thinking of every possible negative scenario that could happen, including the plane crashing, me dying, or my husband dying, or, how are we going to survive if this happens? And my mind goes through every possible scenario of negativity before every single event. Now, we're not just talking about plane rides here. We're talking about, all right, this weekend we're going to go hang out with our friends and we're going to go to karaoke, let's say. Really easy stuff, right? Like, we're just going to we're going to go sing. There's nothing negative about that. But my mind will find every possible negative scenario, everything that might go wrong, every interaction that might happen, every song that might be sung, and I will link every possible thing that could ever happen so that I am mentally prepared for it if it does. And all it does is ruin me, because why do I need to be prepared for every single negative scenario? I'm not even preparing for every single positive scenario, only the ones that could hurt me. And I think this is probably, I'd be interested to hear from a therapist to hear why this is happening, but I am catastrophizing every situation. I am making everything into the worst possible scenario so that if it does happen, I'm prepared and I'm not let down, because the feeling of letdown is so strong in me. Do I know why? I don't know. There's got to be something that it's linked to in my teen years or my childhood or something, but it's so unbearably strong that I really hate the feeling of letdown. It controls my being. It controls my thought process. It controls my life. And it's gotten to a point where it's so unbelievably unhealthy for me that I get to a point where I break and I crack. And even though it seems like things are fine, like I am fine in many ways, but I am just to the point now that I am no longer able to allow this to just be who I am. It's really interesting. For the longest time, I was like, I'm just quirky. I just worry about everything. My mom always said, I'm a worrywart. Yeah, those are things that you need to unpack and figure out why you're such a worrywart. I have worried about everything for as long as I can remember, and I think it mostly stems back to when my mom was dying. And I don't know why. I don't know what happened or what my brain is trying to do here, but I think it's probably trying to do something positive and it's not working. But yeah, it's interesting. I've been catastrophizing since at least I was in my mid-teens, and it's honestly, it controls my every waking move. I don't travel because I'm afraid of traveling. I don't, and I've been like this forever, you guys. Like, this is not something new. It's just that now I'm discovering that, like, I can no longer live this way because I'm not living. I'm not. I am holed up in my home, feeling scared of everything and not doing anything. If I get invited places, like if I get invited on a trip, I'll go. I've gone to events. I've done meet and greets at like BeautyCon or whatever. You don't know how many I've declined for fear purposes. I mean, I was invited to do a meet and greet in Australia. I turned that down because the flight is too long. I was invited to go to Costa Rica to do a shoot with a magazine. I turned that down because it was just too far away, and I thought of all the what ifs, and I just said, I'm scared, and I'm Costa Rica somewhere I've wanted to go forever. I have turned down so many opportunities. I could travel way more. I want to go back to Hawaii so bad, and Zach and I said that this year we're going to go back because it's our 10-year anniversary this year, and I'm already overthinking every possible scenario. I can't even just be flippant about anything. There's no spontaneity with somebody like me. Spontaneity does not exist in my life, and I want it to. I need it to, because this control that I feel is not serving me at all. It's not serving me to be so controlled. I'm just such a, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm such a, I guess it's an anxious person. Like, everything that could go wrong has already gone wrong up here. Every interaction, like, and if I have a bad interaction with somebody, oh my God, I will literally never stop talking about it. And all these things are like funny little quirks until they're not funny anymore. And then you're like, this has to stop, because I'm gonna get sick from this alone. Like, despite all of the other health issues I'm dealing with, it is not healthy to be in this heightened state all the time. So anyway, this is a lot of what I talked about in the live stream the other day. And what's interesting is that I was just sitting there thinking, like, I have to post something. Like, I cannot just keep ghosting the internet. This is my job. And that makes me feel extreme guilt because I'm well aware that this is my job and that I thank God and I thank all of you that this is my job, because in these moments, what would I do? You know, like, oh my God, it's so scary to even think about the fact that I would have to call into work, or I would have to just go, or I would have to just be in agony, feeling like so low and having to deal with people. And it has gotten worse since being on social media all the time. And I think that that's probably a cumulative of all of the years of being alone and being in your own thoughts, and you're not out and about and being around people and, you know, getting all of that social interaction. And so while it is a blessing in so many ways, it's equally a curse in those other ways, and you don't even realize it until it's becoming a problem. And I see all the time people make this comment and say, it's so annoying how many people on social media say they have anxiety. But I think there's got to be a reason, and I think that most of us just, it's so new that we don't really understand yet the adverse effects that this could have on us, you know, in our mentality. And so I am just now realizing that I have to put my health as a priority, and I do not do that. You may not think so, but I mean, I put out a lot of content on YouTube. I can sit here all day and downplay what I do, but I feel like I put up a fair amount of content on YouTube. I film all the time. I try to come up with fun and interesting ideas. Sometimes I, you know, get stuck in a little chit-chat, get ready with me situation, but, you know, I am a human. I feel like I am always work-minded, and there is no work-life balance because my work is my life. It is what I do all day long. It's what I think about all day long. Everything, if I'm going to put a face of makeup on, of course I'm going to film it. Why would I wear makeup without filming it? That's such a waste of my time. Like, I could get content out of this. So instead of makeup being this fun and awesome outlet, it becomes only work, and it becomes the thing that I do because this is what I do. And it's really interesting. I used to get so annoyed hearing YouTubers talk about this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Like, literally shut up. And that's because I had never experienced it before. And now I would love to apologize to everyone who deals with this sort of mindset and feelings and internalization and catastrophizing and living in this hell that's up here. I want to apologize on behalf of anyone who's never understood what you're going through, because they can't until they do. And then you realize, and then you feel extremely guilty that you ever told anyone to calm down, because it's not, trust me, if they could just calm down, they fucking would. That's all it comes down to. They would. And I feel like I have backed off of talking about stuff like this on the internet. I really have, because I've seen the threads. I've seen them. I've seen what people are saying. I've seen the assumptions and the woe is me comments, and I've seen them. I don't search them out, but I've had them sent to me. And let me tell you, it's just blatantly clear to me that it comes from a place of either ignorance or anger. Some people feel like if you have good things in your life that you can't feel bad in your head. And that's just like, I understand why people feel that way. I get it. But it's just not true. In many aspects, 2020 is going to be the best year of my life. But mental health doesn't discriminate. I don't choose how I'm feeling. I can choose to get help. And I'm in a privileged position to be able to do that. And I thank God for that every single day, that I am in a position where I can go get help. And I'm thankful that I am doing so, because it already gave me a sense of relief. Not everybody has that ability, and not everybody has insurance, and not everybody has the ability to just go get help. And I feel sick to my stomach knowing that there are people out there who just deal with this alone without help. And I feel sick about it. Just because I am on the internet doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to feel things. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get looking at people and hearing them complain. You're like, dude, shut up. I know. Trust me, I used to feel the same way. And that's only coming from a place of, I just couldn't understand why anybody who had good things could see anything bad. I think that that's part of the problem, is that a lot of us lack that empathy, because you want to see that the other person is just being a fucking whiner and like, shut up, and you don't, you know, you have it so good. And true, many things are that way, but it doesn't change the fact that this is how I feel, whether I should feel this way or not, you know? There could just be a little bit more empathy. And again, a lot of times people can't understand until they've been through it, until they can sympathize fully with what the other person is going through. And sometimes I've been that way in my life. And now I feel like I'm actually fortunate that I've experienced a lot of these things that I didn't understand before, because now I am like so much more compassionate towards people, because now I get it. And it sucks that it took getting it and experiencing it to fully understand it. Sometimes that's unfortunately what it takes. And I hate that. I hate it so much. But I'm, if I can be thankful for one thing, it is that now I will never discount somebody's anxiety or depression or, mental health. Again, it doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anybody, and it can happen for any reason that you're unaware of, And so that's where I'm at mentally right now. And I went on a live stream the other day. This is what I was going to say, is that I was feeling really low. I felt like such a piece of shit. I hadn't been filming. I feel so guilty. And I decided to stream on YouTube. And I wanted to do that because I have held back a lot from discussing more personal things or mental health things or just the way you feel in general. Because again, my platform has grown so much. I just hit 900,000 subscribers. That to me is unfathomable numbers. That number to be connected to my name is just like, wow, my hand is sure white compared to my face. But it's just mind-blowing to me. And it's scary. I never thought that I would be scared of a certain number of subscribers as much as I really am. Having that many eyes on you and knowing that your influence goes further than you might have ever thought it could. And not only just influence, because that's not the point of my channel. My channel's not here to influence you to buy things or to, I'm just here having a good time and, chatting with you guys. But I started YouTube 2011 on my other channel to talk about real life shit that I didn't feel like other people were talking about on the internet. And I couldn't understand why more people weren't just being honest. And I was like, dude, be honest. You could help somebody. But the criticism, and it's not just about the criticism, but it is so scary. You can't understand unless you know what it's like to have hundreds of thousands of people speculating about your life and stuff. And the more you share, the more likely they are to dig into something that really hurts. And it's really, really scary. And so you discover, as somebody that posts things to the internet, that if I don't share it, they can't rip it apart. And that's why so many people quit sharing, because it's like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. Not gonna fool me again. That's why so many people are surface level on the internet, because it's a lot easier for people to pick apart your surface level life than it is for people to pick apart your incredibly real, devastating parts of your life, or the parts where you're so excited and then somebody says something and it takes that excitement and turns it into something weird, and then you feel like that experience was ruined for you, and the only reason that it was ruined for you is because you shared it on the internet. Why would I share something that was so good to me? And that's why so many people don't. That's why people don't share about their weddings on the internet, or people don't post about really exciting life things that happen to them, because again, the more you share, the more likely you are to be criticized for that. But you know what? I have gotten to the point where I cannot let the people who misunderstand my words be the reason I do or don't say things on the internet. Because yes, there may be a group of people out there who take what I say and twist it into something that it isn't, or say, she's just attention seeking. If that's the way you think, it has nothing to do with me. It doesn't. Because this isn't about me. This is about us as a collective. We're human beings, and we all feel certain kinds of ways sometimes, and it's really, really, being a human is tough, dude. And anybody that says it's not, I mean, fucking wish that I had that. I wish that it wasn't tough, but it is. And even if it's good, sometimes things can still be rough. And I cannot censor the way that I feel and stop sharing important things that may be helpful to somebody else, even if nothing else, just to have somebody else say, I get you and I understand what you're going through because I've been through it too. That is weirdly helpful for me and for other people. And I will continue to do that when I see fit, like this video, which I didn't even want to do. I don't even want to upload this because I already know how it's going to be taken in certain areas of the internet. I can't care about people that will hate me, whether I am giving to charity, whether I'm not giving to charity, whether I'm not talking about my health, whether I am talking about my health. I get torn apart for wearing sweaters more than once. People make fun of me all the time on the internet for re-wearing outfits. Are you fucking kidding me? That you're gonna tear me apart and say that I'm weird or gross or embarrassing for outfit repeating. I will outfit repeat until the day I die, because I am not gonna go out and waste all of those clothes, waste my money, waste my time, waste my resources, I'm gonna buy something I like and I'm going to wear it until I don't like it anymore. And that's that. And I feel like that's the point though. The point I'm trying to make is you can be the funniest person in the world and somebody thinks that your jokes are cringy. You could be the most beautiful in the world and somebody out there doesn't like blonde hair and thinks that your eyes are too close together. Maybe somebody else says you're perfectly symmetrical and somebody else hates symmetry. You will not please everybody, and if you try, you will be sorely disappointed. When you're in the process of trying to please that other person that doesn't like you, for whatever purpose, you're trying to make that person like you, you're alienating the other people that liked you because of the reasons that this other person didn't like you for. Do you know what I mean? Like, if everybody else likes me because I'm carefree, somebody else might not like me because I'm not put together enough or I cuss too much. And other people like me because I cuss. So I can never make everybody happy. And in the process of trying to make everybody happy, you get rid of your personalization. You get rid of the reason that you are who you are. And the internet can do that to you. The internet can take who you are as a human being and run it into the fucking ground. And you will never please everybody. There are going to be people out there who aren't happy until you are at your lowest, until you are at your rock bottom, until you have been taken down a million pegs and are at your lowest. And then maybe they might be happy. That's evil. Sitting here all day long and being like, internet negativity. We could sit here and not address it all day long. We could sit here and try not to have, feelings all day long and say that things don't bother us all day long and don't address the trolls and don't talk to the trolls. I don't reply to trolls. I don't reply to people who call me fat or call me ugly or say things. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't shape how I discuss things online. It does. I am very guarded when it comes to many things that I talk about now, and rightfully so, and will probably stay relatively guarded. But because of that, I don't have as much of a relationship with my viewers as I feel like I used to. And that is because my viewership has changed a lot, really, at the end of the day. There are a lot more people watching now, and I'm not used to that. And when I overthink it, as everything else that I do in my life, I tend to hole up because anything I say or post isn't going to be good enough for somebody out there. I'm going to hear the criticism. And seemingly my worst times come at the times where my life is almost the best. And that's because when my health hits, I can't choose when I'm going to get these attacks. I can't choose any of that. And it takes my power away from many situations. But the thing is what I am coming to terms with is that the people I like the most are people who are just honest. And my channel always, my last one and this one, was built on just being honest. And as things have grown and as I've progressed and as I've gotten to the point where so many people are watching, and I'm so unbelievably grateful and confused. I'm frankly confused about it, but I don't want to back off of talking about things that I think are important because of fear. And I have discovered in this last week of dealing with severe fear and anxiety and just feeling so helpless that I let fear dictate most of my life. And so I do hold back from talking about certain things that maybe would be helpful to somebody else on the internet because I'm afraid of what the internet might do. I cannot let fear drive my decisions. Otherwise, I never would have started my YouTube channel. Otherwise, I never would have started my previous YouTube channel. Otherwise, I would have never met my best friends. Kat and Marie, I met them because of YouTube. I met them because we all decided to be vulnerable on the internet. And I thank God for them every day. They are some of the best things that's ever happened to me. And if I was afraid, I would have never messaged Zach in the first place. And if I was afraid, I wouldn't be able to maybe in some way make some of the videos that I have. I have to say that there has to be a reason that I have a platform and that I feel I've always been somebody who's just very open and honest. If we sit down, like if you and I right now, you watching this, if you and I sat down together at a dinner or we were hanging out in the living room, we were just having a cup of coffee, there are no holds barred. I am an open book. Like, I want to talk about the deepest, darkest, or best parts or the most exciting or like really things that are kind of taboo. I love talking about things like that. But because of the internet and because there are people that misunderstand, I really have backed off a lot. And I wanted to just say, I want to keep things lighthearted. I just want things to be about makeup. And the majority of my channel is going to stay that way. I really enjoy not always talking about heavy topics because I really like trying a full face of Huda Beauty and just having fun and laughing and looking at the shininess and being like, what in the whiskers hell is happening here? I enjoy that stuff. But life is not all that. And I think it is almost a disservice at some points to see only that because you as a human might be going through some of the darkest parts of your life and to know that maybe somebody else out there is really freeing. And I knew when I went on my live stream the other day, and there was like 3,500 people in my live stream, and virtually no negativity, and so many people understanding what I was going through. Yet I had no idea how many people had experienced this before. I had no idea, because so many people don't talk about it, because it is so taboo, because it is scary to open up to people. Now knowing that I'm not alone has shifted my perspective in a way that I don't know that many other things could have done. That live stream helped me more than a lot of things have helped me in a long time. And it made me feel empowered to get help. And so because of those comments, because of opening up, because of not being afraid, I went to the doctor and I am getting help. And it means the world to me to know that even though there are people who might watch that live stream, who might take it into a separate place of the internet, who might pick it apart word for word, there also might be somebody out there who is going to go see a doctor now. And I'm not to be like, if I help one person, then it's enough for me. Sometimes people say that and it loses its meaning. You hear people say all the time, like, you are not alone. You are loved. Those words, when you don't feel it at all, when you feel like the deepest pit of despair, those words, they fly by. They don't stick and you don't believe them. But believe me when I say there are people out there who understand. And if you've been not getting help because you feel like nothing can help me, I felt that way too. As Zach was holding me, as I lay in a position feeling like I will never feel good again. I will never be okay again. I will never feel happiness again. I needed him to tell me like, yes, you will, and you need to get help. And you guys did the same thing. And the next day I did. And I'm already feeling a sense of relief that I really felt in those worst moments that it was not going to be. And so this is, I hate to sit here and I don't want it to seem like I'm preaching at people or like I'm all knowing. I know jack shit. I know fuck all when it comes to this stuff. All I know is how I feel as a person and how if I feel this way, there's likely other people out there that feel this way too. And that it is, you hear this all the time, it's okay not to be okay. Yep, it is. But let's try, if we can, to do our best to try to get something. We don't deserve to feel that bad. And you don't deserve to have anybody try to discount what you're feeling. And if you experience mental health struggles that other people just don't get, you're not crazy. You don't need to just calm down. I mean, it would be great if we could, but there is help out there for us. And I even was like, I said to Zach before we went to the doctor, I said, this doctor's going to do the same thing that the ER doctors have done to me. They're going to give me no help. And I was wrong. Again, I was catastrophizing the situation. I was saying there's no help for me out there. And there is. I'm getting an MRI, I got new medication, and I'm getting therapy. 3 things that will help me. There was help for me, even though I felt in that moment that there wasn't. And I am going to probably keep this channel, again, very lighthearted, keep things just to the way that they are, have a good time, talk when I feel like I need to or when I want to, and not hold back saying the things that I want to say based on fear anymore. And I'm hoping that this cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what my doctor is referring me to, I'm hoping that it can get me out of this cycle of the world is coming to an end and it's only just a matter of time before the shoe drops, because I'm always constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And in my mind, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And that's why everything does feel so scary, because I feel like it's not a question of if something is going to go bad, it's just when it goes bad. But there is good too. I thought I was going to die on the trip to Hawaii. And you know what happened instead? I went to Hawaii and had the actual best trip of my life, felt good the entire time, had no issues at all, ate the best food I've ever eaten, felt the best I've ever felt, and I survived. I came home, my cats were safe, I was safe, and I felt so unsafe up here. Everything was scary, and the plane was gonna come crashing down, and my cats are gonna die because something's gonna happen, the door's gonna swing open with a gust of wind, and then Mad Eye's gonna get lost, and then he's not gonna know where he is, and he's gonna get hit by a car. All of these thoughts run through my head all day long, and none of them happened. None. Not a single one. I tortured myself internally for stuff that didn't fucking happen. It didn't. And every time my husband leaves in the car, I have visualizations of him crashing and dying and that I'll never see him again. And he doesn't. And so that's when you know I have no proof of any of these things happening. I have no way to prove that all of these hideous, horrible things that my brain thinks all day are ever going to happen. And so all it is my brain trying to come up with every negative scenario so that when it happens, I could be like, I knew it. And why? Why does that help me? It doesn't. It hurts me. And if you do it too, I don't know. I'll come back on and let you know how therapy and stuff's gonna work for me. I'm really excited to get into it. I'm really looking forward to finding some solutions to my issues because I've never dealt with many of the things that have happened in my life. And I think that Kathleen would say it's because I'm a Capricorn and I'm very skeptical of things. And I always feel like I've got this. I'm just weird. I just do this. No, I've always been like this. Yeah, I have always been like this. And that's not right. I don't want to be. I want to be one of those people that can just be like, oh my God, yeah, you want to go on a trip right now? Like, let's book it. Instead of being like, well, we can't because what if I have this? And what if something happens? What if the plane crashes? And I don't know because I have this work due. And then because I have to do this, I turn every good scenario like an awesome trip into an Everest that I must climb. And I'm tired of doing this. And I hope that helps me. And I think it will. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to come on here and talk. And I feel good knowing that I have, and I feel better mentally today. Some people are going to ask, are you taking CBD? Everyone always asks me about CBD. That is one thing that I tried before, but my doctor told me because I was on this specific medication for my head that I couldn't take it because it would counteract the medication. And I'm off that med now because it did nothing. And so now I am taking CBD. I don't know if I feel different. I feel fine. And my head has been a little better these last few days. Could be placebo. I think placebo is fine though. Like if placebo makes you feel better, fucking A, do it. You know, I don't know. Could be that, could be helping. And I've been eating insanely healthy for like the last 7 weeks. I've been working with a nutrition coach and they've set me to a healthy lifestyle and macros. And I've been not worrying about my weight. I've just been worrying about making the right choices with every meal. I'm making really good, healthy choices. And that is that on that. And I'm feeling like hopeful that something is going to happen positively out of all of this. And hopefully 2020 cannot be miserable for me up here because it's actually shaping up to be a really, really good year. And I want to enjoy it to its fullest, and not just 2020, but life in general. I want to take the little bit of time we do have here on this earth and enjoy it. I want to look back and not think that something bad was happening to me at all times, but that stuff that was good was happening. And if something bad happens, cross that bridge when we get there, instead of reliving the bad thing every day of my life until it eventually happens and then being like, see, told you it was gonna happen. It's like, yeah, 45 years from now. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video wasn't too long and rambly, but you know what? This is the year of stopping apologizing for things I want to do and say, living the way that I want to live, and just making the videos I want to make. All right. Well, I thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. Thank you so much for all of your support and your kindness the other day on the live stream and likely in this video as well. And I'll see you at my next video. Bye.